Hi, I'm Randy Brandoff with TIA Ventures, and today I want to talk about the real risk of an expensive hire. We all know of examples, I've experienced it myself personally, where early stage growth companies hire transformative new talent that changes the trajectory of growth, of revenues, of the culture, of the team, just profoundly change the business. And almost universally, management laments not hiring that person sooner. So the real question is why? Why, with the opportunity, especially for early stage businesses, to change their entire trajectory with the right hire, why aren't these hires made sooner and more often? It starts with the math. All the time we hear people talk about, hey, it would have cost $200,000 to hire the really experienced hire we needed, and our budget was only $100,000. So we went with the less expensive hire, or we just delayed hiring altogether. The fact is that math is faulty. In reality, you'll never spend double for the more expensive hire. If you go and hire that 200,000 person executive, within 3 months, you're apt to know if it's gonna work out. And within 6, if it's not a fit, you have to make a move. So your real risk is not double, but max 50%. And in that same example, if that hire was truly experienced and the result of a real process and not a fraud, which is unlikely but possible, then you're more than likely to have gotten more out of that person, even if they weren't a great fit, than you would have gotten out of the much less experienced, much less expensive hire. So that delta is even less than 50%. So in reality, the right math is not 100 versus 200, it's 100 versus 125, 150 equivalent for up to 6 months' time, with the potential upside being significant. Because if you had hired that right person, and what could have happened? Ask yourself simply, are my best people worth double or more, 3x, 5x average or lesser performers? I think in most cases they are. So let's think about what are some of the other questions that you hear very often in these scenarios. First is, but I don't have the time or the team to run a proper search process. Well, you really have to figure that out if you're an entrepreneur and a leader and a team builder, and fast. Because winning is always the result of execution, and you can't do it all yourself in the startup environment, period. Next question. We run so lean and we're moving so quickly, we don't have any formal onboarding process. Well, you're not alone. This is natural point of any growth company's trajectory, but you have to consider if personnel is your largest expense, then training and retaining your team to reach its peak efficiency and stay that way has to be prioritized accordingly. Let's consider the next excuse. We have a tight-knit team and culture, and I don't want to risk damaging it by hiring people who might not be a good culture fit. You're 100% right in the requirement to prioritize culture, but the fact is you can hire for the requisite experience and the culture match. And know if your notion of culture is we're all young, and energetic and not without families and willing to work endlessly, you can hire folks who are willing to work just as hard, but don't be, ageist or think that bringing in people of diverse ages and backgrounds, etc., are going to automatically ruin your culture. People love to follow and get excited by talent and experience and people who bring relevant examples and new ideas to the table. So, not everyone needs to look and feel and sound like you. The very best teams have a diversity of thought and of talent and of experience where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And in reality, ultimately, there's no VC on the planet that wants to invest and continue to invest in a team that's reinventing the wheel every single time, because they're not bringing in people with the experience to have tackled the obstacles that they're facing on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So you need to hire for that experience while you're developing your own, which takes time, obviously. As we enter 2021 and there's a more distributed workforce than ever before, you have to be as good at talent sourcing, at recruiting and onboarding as you are at product development, customer acquisition, and retention, or you're just going to lose what is becoming an ever more significant global war on talent. It just has to happen, and you have to make it so. And the good news is you already have investors, you already have advisors, and they all, to a person, are going to have technology tools that they recommend to help you with this. They're going to have firms and agencies that they're in to help you with this. Don't be shy about asking. It's typical of every single growth company, and the resources are out there, good ones, at the right price points, and ask around, lean on your advisors and investors for this information. Ultimately, we see these same patterns over and over and over again. That's It's why I wanted to talk about it today. Your talent needs to continue to grow with the growth of your firm. It is the only way you are going to win. So go out today and start sourcing the experienced talent that you need. Because at the end of the day, the most important question is not what is the real risk and the real expense of an expensive hire. It's what is the cost of our company's failure to execute.